Hello again, everybody. This is John and Glenn from Best Price Nutrition. We've had a lot of requests for some reviews, so we're going to be doing some product reviews today, answering some of your questions. We appreciate all the feedback from everybody. So without further ado, we're going to review USP Labs OxyElite Pro. Right now it's arguably the best-selling fat burner on the market, probably for the last, I'd say, what, about 3 months?
3 months. Yeah.
So there's obviously a lot of questions about it. First of all, let's get it started. Let's go ahead and run through the ingredients. Glenn, you want to kick off some of the ingredients?
Yeah, there's 6 main ingredients. A few of them on there that are kind of difficult to say. The first one's just Bauhinia purpurae. It's also in the plant world just called purple camel's foot. It's supposed to increase the conversion of T4 into T3, so it's hitting the thyroid hormone aspect of fat burning. The next one is just Bacopa. Bacopa is an Ayurvedic herb. It's been used for years for mental focus, brain function. It's also, again, the same thing with increasing conversion of T4 to T3, because they're finding that people who are training hard, that conversion isn't very good, so they want to increase the amount of thyroid hormone, or the T3, that's present in the body.
Now, T3 and T4, they're also, you'll hear them called thyroxins and so on and so forth. You'll hear people who take prescriptions, often people who have hypothyroidism, which means they have an underactive thyroid, so they don't produce enough of these hormones. Oftentimes they'll be on Synthroid or Cytomel, I believe, or some of the pharmaceutical ingredients you'll hear for that. And some guys use them, illegally. The problem with a lot of those illegal substances is that it'll downregulate on your natural production of these. So even though you don't have a hypothyroid condition, you could end up with that. So something to be aware of if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I can get you Synthroid or whatever." Just make sure that you get a prescription for your doctor. You find out that you specifically do have that problem. And there's the opposite effect too, where some people have hyperthyroidism, where they actually have a problem keeping weight on because they have so much thyroid hormones.
Another part of that too is a lot of those thyroid hormones, when taken exogenously, they can have muscle wasting effects. Your body will not only prefer fat as a fuel source, but also muscle. You'll see a lot of people who will take them for 2 weeks at a time because they're worried about that. So this is just stimulating your natural production of it, so that's very good.
And exogenously means it's from outside the body, endogenous from within inside. So you'll hear that often if somebody says an exogenous source of testosterone, that's basically a steroid or something to that effect. So let's go ahead and hit up the next ingredient.
Next ingredient is 1,3-dimethylamylamine, or it's also called DMAA, or geranium. It was made popular by Patrick Arnold's product, Ergofarm Amp, years ago. It's a mild stimulant. I've taken it for years because it does really help with mental focus. It increases the amount of epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine that your body produces. It's a popular ingredient right now, but it's kind of getting some heat because it is banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency and some college. If you're getting tested, if you're a collegiate athlete, it is banned right now, so it's something to think about when taking this particular product or any product with that ingredient inside of it.
And that being said, it's been used for years safely, so it's like most things. If you're sensible about it and you don't overdo it, you should be fine. Again, we're not doctors, we can't make these recommendations legally, but that's just something to keep in mind. It's not meant to scare you off. We're just telling you these things so you have the knowledge and you know what you're getting yourself into if you try any of these products. So let's finish wrapping up the ingredients, then we're going to cover some of the effects and what you can expect when you take
Last one is called Cirsium oligophyllum. More or less, it targets the subcutaneous fat, which is basically the fat you see on your body. It helps with the transport of that away from that area to be used as fuel, and lessens the amount that's stored there. So that's a good thing. You definitely don't want any more subcutaneous, because it's what we see. The final ingredient, and I'm not
real quick, I'm sorry, the subcutaneous fat is the fat that's directly beneath the skin, and then there's also visceral fat, which is fat that's actually wrapped around organs. That's the really dangerous stuff that you'll hear more people talking about. That's why somebody can be called, quote, skinny fat. If somebody has a heart, basically it's like a bacon wrapped around an organ. That's very unhealthy. So oftentimes, if you ever look up something on sumo wrestlers, they're actually quite healthy because cardiovascular, they're constantly exercising and taking care of themselves, and they have mostly subcutaneous fat, which is the stuff that you're going to see underneath the skin, which if you're trying to get in shape you don't want. However, it's not nearly as bad as visceral fat. So go ahead.
Last one, I believe I'm saying it right, it's called Wolstein. It's generally just the word for alpha yohimbine. It's the preferred source of yohimbine because generally people tout it as having less side effects than original yohimbi. It increases the amount of norepinephrine that your cells release, and norepinephrine is sort of seen as the main thermogenic compound in the body. It is an ingredient that some people can't tolerate. I myself am one of them, but people who can. It's a great ingredient for fat loss. Has some effects on the mood and a few things like that. We also have another blog post that does deal with the alpha-leucombine issue in general, but it's a very good ingredient, definitely.
And the last thing is caffeine. There's 100 milligrams of caffeine per capsule, so you can kind of gauge that based on things that you've used in the past with caffeine, coffee, diet pop, whatever, or soda for those of you who are not from the Midwest, I guess, and call it pop. Next, let's go through the directions dosage. I personally have not used this product. I am not a big fat burner person. I am pretty active, so I'm just not somebody who uses it a lot because I don't feel like I need the extra stimulation in terms of that. However, I do use some of the energy drinks or pre-workouts, so I kind of get that stimulant effect there. But Glenn, I know you've used this product. What is your
Yeah, generally it's 1 to 2 capsules in the morning, and then generally before breakfast. A big thing is you want an empty stomach because insulin can blunt the response of the euhimbine inside of it. So if you take 1 to 2 capsules before breakfast, and then I'd say 4 to 6 hours later, definitely want to take it before, let's say if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock at night, probably before 4 or 5, because it does have stimulants inside of it. For somebody who's just starting off, I would start with just 1 capsule in the morning, just to see how you feel. If you feel like you can use another boost later on in the day, go ahead and take another capsule, and then work your way up to that full 3-dose capsule, which would be 2 in the morning, 1 in the mid-afternoon.
And you may want to start off with food. Just some of the stories I've heard from customers, and even a few people who try it here. It's pretty strong. It kicks pretty hard. So if you're not somebody that's used to stimulants, drinking coffee, what have you, you may, even if you are, just always start slowly with any fat burner, especially this one, because it really does kick hard. Again, I can't give you personal experience, and we don't have a bunch of third-party research to look at. Some of the effects, though, in terms of stimulants, the nice thing about them is when you take them, the effects are acute. They happen in the short term, so people can kind of tell you what they feel pretty quickly. So
it is something you'll feel right away, definitely.
So some of the side effects that you'll hear about OxyElite Pro, again, as we just touched on, is people who can't handle stimulants. You're going to get shaky, you're going to get nervous, things like that. If you've taken fat burners, then it's probably not going to be an issue.
Increased sweating, that's one, especially with the euhimbine and the ingredients dealing with the thyroid. Jitters, but that's not with everybody. It's definitely depending upon how your tolerance is to stimulants.
And then results, we've had a lot of questions. The feedback on this product is really good. I mean, it sells well, a lot of repeat buyers. Again, we don't have a bunch of third-party research to look at, which I personally always prefer. We encourage informed skepticism. But going off hearsay and repeat buyers and feedback from people, I mean, we've heard very good about it.
Very good,
so.
very good, definitely.
But if you don't like stimulants, you're not going to like it. Stay away from it. As far as what to stack it with, that was another question that's come up. I wouldn't stack it with any other stimulants, that's for sure. If you're taking, for instance, from USP Labs, if you're taking the Jack 3D, don't take it at the same time. Maybe take these in the morning, you work out in the afternoon, then use the Jack 3D before your workout. Don't use the two together. It's entirely too many stimulants. If you can handle that, then you may want to give yourself a break from stimulants for a while because your adrenal glands have clearly been down-regulated upon a little bit too much because you're just not getting that same pep. And a good way to use this, and with most fat burners, what I tell people, sometimes you use them maybe 5 days on, 2 days off. There's nothing in here that you have to build up in your system. You're not taking creatine or something that you build up in your muscle tissue. If you use it maybe even 3 or 4 days a week, something like a pre-workout type deal, that's fine because you're going to keep your body guessing a little bit and you're going to inhibit some of that down-regulation and you're going to get more of an effect and more bang for your buck. Plus, it's going to last you longer. Now, when you do take caffeine and you go off of it, you can get headaches. So on the days that you don't take this, maybe you do just have a glass of black tea or something like that for a light dose of caffeine so you don't get those headaches.
Exactly, yeah, and I would say no longer than 8 weeks on it because, there is stimulants inside of it, it does downregulate.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people, we've had customers who take it for 4 or 5 months at a time and then they tell us that this is not working anymore. Well, that's your adrenal receptors being downregulated. It's just going to stop working, and people think then I'm going to pop more pills. I'm just going to take 4, 5, 6 of them. I've heard a case of somebody taking 6 of these a day. I definitely don't recommend that, but that's because someone was taking it for so long that they weren't getting a feeling out of it anymore. So I'd say 8 weeks on and then right about equal amount of time off.
And take into consideration your body weight as well. If you're 150 pounds versus 300 pounds, obviously you can take a lot more if you're 300 pounds, so take that into consideration. Also with stacking with any fat burner, it's always going to work best in conjunction with a good diet, balanced diet. Protein powders are always going to help fulfill some of those needs so you can help build muscle because if you're going to try and burn fat, the best way to do so is to build muscle. The old myth that you're going to get rid of a bunch of fat and then you're going to start to build muscle. Do it all at the same time. So work on building muscle, work out hard, be intense, eat clean, good meals. We'll do another video on eating to kind of help you guys out separately, give you some good tips and good ideas. Another question that came up is it bad to take with alcohol? The thing with stimulants and alcohol is, the popular drink right now is probably still Red Bull and vodka. When you take stimulants with alcohol, they kind of trick your body into thinking that you're more sober than you actually are. You can be pretty drunk, but the fact that you have caffeine, which is increasing your mental alertness, can kind of play a little trick on your body. So just be careful if you do. It's anything else. It's common sense. I wouldn't recommend taking this and going out and getting drunk. If you're going to do that, certainly don't drive or operate any heavy machinery. So I guess that kind of answers that. I don't know if you want to add to
well,
that.
I mean, in general, if you're on a weight loss program, you're going to kind of, you're not going to, you're going to want to limit your alcohol intake anyways, because that's bad calories or dead calories. So, I would say definitely not something you want to pop a couple in and go out.
We had one other question. Somebody on Facebook asked us how this matches up with another fat burner by Imperial Nutrition, Liposeer. The ingredients profile in some ways are similar, but there are definitely some differences, starting with the raspberry ketones. I know Glenn's a big fan of raspberry ketones.
I've actually taken it by itself before. It's basically will take the fat from your cell and put it in the bloodstream to be used as a fuel source. The important thing is that you're active, because you don't want to transport fat from one part of the body to the next. But and you actually do get a warming effect from that. I felt warm, to the touch almost, and it's nice taking these products that you could feel something, and that's definitely an ingredient you can. Very tolerated though. It's not something you're going to be uncomfortable with.
Theobromine as well is another example of the difference.
Yeah, that comes from chocolate. It's an ingredient that sort of works like caffeine. It's an energy booster, mood elevator. So that's another good ingredient.
I think that'd probably be one of the main things that this product is a little more focused on is mood elevation. The theory behind that product is that when you're dieting, sometimes you're always going to eat better and make better decisions when you feel better. That's just the reality. So a lot of companies have started to focus on making you feel good along with fat burning. It's not just a marketing thing, actually. It actually does make some sense, and there's some research there. If you feel good, you're going to tend to eat better and stay on track better. You're not going to get those cravings, and if you feel bad, you're going to be more likely to go out and eat something that you probably shouldn't. So that's kind of where that comes into play. I'd say it kicks a little bit less, not quite as much, but it still does. So it's another pretty potent one. So I think that wraps up everything, all the questions that we had on specifically OxyElite Pro. Please keep the comments coming, posting. We'll try and meet your needs as far as putting up videos and reviews of supplements and questions you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you.